Howdy gang, Michelle here, and today I am bringing you the first pattern for my patrons for March. And this one, it's one of those things that when you look at it, you're like, that's what I'm going to call it. And this one is called Windows, and the reason why is it's actually going to look like windows. And I don't mean just, boxes, but if you take a look, and you see the texture, it's going to make sense as I'm saying this to you. So the little pink part is my contrast color, and that looks like a little window. But if you look at it like this, you can kind of see the texture a little bit more, how this part above it and on the sides, the texture of it is a little bit raised. So these are inset, so they kind of look like windows in a house. And I thought it was kind of cool. So I'm going to show you guys how to do this. And you guys know me well enough. If you've ever done anything I created, I try to give you guys easy tips, tricks, everything like that to make life so much easier. So the first, as always, is if you have artist tape, painter's tape, masking tape, something. If you want to use stitch markers, it's totally up to you if you want to use rubber bands. But I always try to show you guys the easiest way to do things. So number one, it makes your life easier to understand my patterns, my videos. Number two, if you're like me and you're constantly being sidetracked by other things, questions, phone calls, messages, whatever, you can put it down and walk away and go, I know exactly where I was and I know what I was doing, because these little tips that I give you on here, and y'all know that I love my little chart. So I created you guys a cheat sheet on the back of this as well. So obviously it says coming soon because I'm still working on it. I haven't taken a picture of it yet. And for this, I am using, obviously, my KB 48 peg chunky loom. And if you don't have a peg that is in multiples of 8, if you're using the 41 peg, obviously you're going to want to make sure to use yarn that is for that particular size loom. Or if you go smaller and use like 80 peg or 72 or something like that, again, use the appropriate size yarn for the loom that you're going to use. Now for me, for this particular one, I am using Loops and Threads Charisma, and this one here, my gray one, is called Charcoal, and this one here, my pink one, is called Think Pink. Okay, so this is my contrast color, this is my main color. So in the pattern, you're going to see here MC, abbreviations MC, it just means main color. Charcoal for mine, and contrast color is the pink. Okay, so that way when you're looking at this and you're looking at this chart, anything with the gray is the charcoal, and obviously the empty boxes that are gray is knit, and I have that right here. And then the gray boxes with the dot in them is pearl, and then the empty boxes with pink, it's just knit. True knit or U-knit only, no E-wrap. Okay. So what you're going to do is make any brim that you like. Now for this one, because I love working with Charisma and it's so chunky and it's easy to work with it being so bulky, I just did a quick knit one, purl one brim for about 1.5 inches, and then I go right into it. So what you're going to do is, now for those of you who are easy pattern readers with no problem, I've written it all out. For rounds 1 through 6, you're going to use your main color for me, which is the gray, and you're going to do garter. So 1 round of knit, 1 round of purl. You're going to do that for 6 rows. Okay, and if you look at this chart here, starting at the bottom, 1 round of knit, 1 round of purl, all the way up through 6. Okay, now when you get to 7, this is where you're going to get into this area here. When you get from rows 7 through 11, you're going to use both the colors. So for the first 2, you're going to use your main color, which for me is the gray, and you're going to purl 2. Then for the next 4, you're going to use your contrast color, and you're going to knit, U-knit or true knit only, no E-wrap. And then for the next 2, you're going to purl in the main color. And as you look here on my chart, that's this section right here. So 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So purl 2, knit 4 in the pink for me, whatever your contrast color is, and then purl. And you just continue that in each section. Now I have this broken down, as you can see, in sections 8. So you just do that all the way around. Okay, and you're gonna repeat that for round 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Now for the next section, which is rounds 12 through 16, you're gonna do that garter in the main color again, which for me is the gray. So knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1. So as you can see, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So 12 is knit, purl, knit, purl, knit. Okay. And then round 17 through 21, you're going to go and use the same colors again, but you're going to shift them a little bit because, as you can see here, they're not exactly lined up in rows. So you have a color block here, you shift it over, you have a color block here, you shift it over, you have it back over here. Okay. So now with round 17 through 21, whereas up here we did the main color and we purled 2, we're going to use our contrast color. For me, it's the pink. I'm going to knit 2, purl 4 with my main color, and then knit 2 in my contrast color again. And that's what this section right here, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. So I'm knitting with my contrast, purling 4 for each one of those, and then knitting. All right, that's why I try to make these patterns with the charts for you guys, to make them as easy as possible. So foolproof that I can show this to my husband and I'm sure he'll get it. He does not knit. So as you guys can see here, I'm going to break it down a little bit more for you. So obviously this is my brim. This is the 3 sets. So knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl of the garter. Then I went into the 2 purl, 4 contrast color, and then 2 purl. And then you just continue that around. And then in between that, you have, again, the garter. And then this is where you shift everything over. And then you have this right above the section where you did basically 4 sets of purl down here. Above it, in the next section after the garter, is that. Okay. So when you set up your tape on here, if you use the artist tape like I do, what you're going to do is mark it off in sections of 8. Now I know you're probably thinking, well, Michelle, it's actually 4. No, it's actually 8, and I'm going to explain why, because you're going to get a break in the middle of it to do the variations on the colors. Okay, so go around and mark them all as 8. Now you'll notice I have little pink dots, and if you guys have ever seen any hat videos that I've done before, that's my little guide, visual guide, when I'm doing the brim. So I know, you know, which ones I have to knit, which ones I have to purl. So if I have to walk away and come back, I know where I'm at. Okay, so what you're going to do is take another Sharpie or pen or whatever you're using, and then underline pegs 3, 4, 5, and 6 in each section of 8. Okay, so as I go around, you'll see that I have that. Every one in the section of 8 that's 3, 4, 5, and 6, I've underlined. And the easiest, the reason why I did that is it's the easiest way to remember. These are my middle ones. So in this section here, after I've already done the garter and I've gone into this here, this is peg 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 3, 4, 5, and 6. So when I go to this section up here, rows 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21, I know that where I have that line, those are going to be purled. Okay, so it's a lot easier to do it that way. So as you can see here, I've already done 3 sets of the windows on there, and my total length on that so far is, let me get my handy dandy measuring tape. So I'm at just about 7 inches with that, and that's with 3. So I'm going to do 2 more sets of this, and then I'm going to use my 4 peg decrease, and I'll be adding a palm to this because it's really cute, and I have a gray and pink palm to this. And that's how simple this is. And it comes out really cute. So what I'm going to do is on this section here, I just got started on this new one here. And let's take a peek here. As you can see underneath, I've already done 1, 2, 3. So I have to do 2 more of those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with, let me get this untangled here real quick. All right, there we go. So here's my starter peg. Now you'll notice that this one that I'm on particularly, here's my starter peg, but I have 2 before that also, because now I'm in the area with the pinks that doesn't have the underline. Okay, like I just showed you guys as a little tip or trick. So let me move these out of the way. So I'm going to grab my main color now, and I try to always use one color first. So that way, you know, if you're using your contrast color usually second, you walk away, you come back, you notice that you're still in the middle of a round with your contrast color, you already know your main color is done. All right. So I know I'm on this area right here. So if I've already done 17, 18, and 19, I have to do 20 and 21. Okay. So I know that my starter peg, which is 1 and 2, which is right here, 1 and 2. So I'm going to skip those, and I'm going to focus on the ones 3, 4, 5, and 6, which are right here in the center, 3, 4, 5, and 6 with my main color. Okay. So I'm going to bring my working yarn behind the pink ones that I already have set. Then I'm going to just purl these. Now there's 2 different ways to purl. You get the same effect. It's just like when you knit or true knit, it's the same thing. You know, it's just like driving. You're going to a location. You can have a couple of different ways of getting there, but it's still going to get you there. Okay. So you can purl like you guys have seen me done before, where you grab it, you lift it off, you drop that on, and then it's done. Okay. That's the regular way that a lot of people are familiar with. But there's another way that is very similar to how you true knit, but you just make sure when you do this that you're doing it the right way. So what you're going to do, I'm going to bring my working yarn behind those 4, is just like you purl, you're going to bring your hook from the top through, come down through the bottom, grab that loop. And this works easily with something like this because my tension is relaxed. If you have very tight tension, this is not going to work well for you. You just pop it off, put that loop back on there, and drop it down. Okay, I'll show you again. There you go. So it just depends which works easier for you. If you use that and it works great, awesome, use it. If you'd rather just do it the way you normally do, that's great also. I just like to provide you guys with a little bit of tricks and tips and anything that's going to make life easier for you guys when it comes to doing stuff like this. So I'm just going to go back this way because it's a little quicker for me. And purl these ones here, which are my gray ones, which is my main color, until you get back to the starter peg. Always bring your working yarn behind, and that's going to leave these on the inside, and they don't get like all spaghetti like and everything like that. They stay nice and tight if you do it this way and you carry your yarn over with your colors. They'll stay nice and tight. And the other great thing about this is it keeps your head really toasty. So it's kind of like a double knit hat because you have the extra yarn in here. So if you're in one of those really cold weather states and you want a really fun, whimsical hat and it's going to keep your head warm, this is going to be one of them. So I have a few more that I have to do. But this is how easy it is. Again, this is another one of my patterns where it looks complicated, but then once you see the little tricks and tips that I give you guys to do this, and I break it down for you really easy, anybody can do it. All right, and this is going to be my last section before I come up on my starter peg. and 4. There we go. Okay, so that's my last one in this section. All right, now what you can do, another tip is if you're working with 2 colors, I'm sure you guys have heard me say this before, the color that you're not using, leave in the center of your loom if you can. If you work on a flat surface, normally I'm sitting at my recliner and I have my loom sitting in my lap. I just stick that right in the middle and it makes it so much easier. So your yarns don't get all tangled up and everything like that. Okay. So my main color on that one is done, which is, I'm working on 20 right now. So these 4 pearls on pegs 3, 4, 5, 6 in the sections 8, that's done. So now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to knit off 1, 2, 7, and 8. All right. So this is right now, my working yarn is my last peg, which was 8 at the end. So I'm just going to unit all the others. So 1, 2, 7, and 8. Bring your working yarn behind your gray ones now, whereas before we were bringing the gray yarn behind the pink ones. We're bringing the pink yarn behind the gray ones. And just knit, whether you want to do a true knit or a U-knit, it's completely up to you, but no E-wrap, because you won't get the same effect. I have a couple of videos that, you know, I do U-wrap in, or excuse me, E-wrap in, but I prefer the U-knit or the true knit because it just looks so much cleaner and it's a bit tighter and it's not as loose. So just knit these all the way around. And if you have a Lazy Susan, this works awesome too if you're working on a flat surface. This is just a regular one. It's a Rubbermaid one. I've been getting a lot of questions about it. It's just a regular Rubbermaid one for, you know, like a table. You can put salt and pepper on it, or, you know, condiments or whatever you want. But that's what this one is. And then the orange piece on top of it is just a piece of neoprene that came from one of my husband's old dive suits. And then there we go. So we're coming up on the last section now. You see, here's my gray working yarn. Let me move that so you guys can see. That's my gray working yarn. You're going to bring your pink or your contrast color, pink for me, across that and then knit off 7 and 8. And the reason why is that's what allows these to stay nice and tight. You can see I have them crossed here, so that allows them to stay tight instead of just real loosey-goosey. Okay, so my row 20 is done, and you're going to repeat the same thing all the way around. Okay, then what you're going to do once you do 21, you start over again. You go back down to 1 and you just repeat 1 through 21 until you get the desired length. Now for me, I think because we're already at 7 inches with this, it's going to do about 2 more inches for me. So maybe one more full set of each, like one more of this, each window section, and then I'm going to be done. You could do it to whatever desired length you want. If you want to make it for a child's head, obviously you're going to do it shorter. If you want to make it more slouchy for somebody that has really long hair like me, or wears their hair in dreadlocks and they like to tuck it all into a hat, you could do it longer. And then you're just going to follow my 4-peg decrease, cinch it up. If you want to add a palm, add a palm. If you want to leave it, leave it. If you want to do a messy bun, you could still add the band in there with the 4-peg decrease and it'll look nice. My widow's web, I used my 4-peg decrease with that, and then I just took those last 4 stitches and wound them off. So that is completely up to you. All right, thank you all so very much. I love and appreciate each and every one of you for having so much faith in me to create wonderful things for you guys every month. And I'll never be able to find the words to say how much you all mean to me. So thanks so much, guys. I'm going to finish this on this end. You finish your on your end. And please be sure, I'm going to start making sure when people send me things that they do, I'm going to start posting those on my stories on Instagram. I know I've been kind of slacking. It's been crazy for me, but I'm going to catch up and I'm going to start showing off all the work that you guys do for me. Not just my patrons, but for anything you do, any of my patterns. So if you tag me in something that you've done, whether it's recent or whether it's old, let me know, because I would love to showcase you on my Instagram and show off your awesome work. All right, guys, I love you. Happy looming. Talk to you soon.